Welcome back to another edition of Cape Ann Today. Heather and I are joined by Ben Lummis. He is the Superintendent of Gloucester Public Schools. Welcome back, Ben.
Hi, Kory. How are you, Kory? How are you, Heather? Good to see you again.
It's good to see you.
Great to see you.
So now summer is almost upon us. The school year is practically over. I just want to how you're feeling, how things have sort of bounced back, like I guess post-hybrid education for the most part, like what the students and faculty had to endure the last couple of years. Just your assessment of how this school year went.
So it's been a great school year on many levels. Okay, we've had a lot of successes. Kids obviously been in school every single day. You know, it's had many parts of it. It felt like a normal school year. And at the same time, many more parts have felt very different. Just very clearly, it's been the most difficult school year that anyone can remember. And I would say any of us have ever experienced. And that just isn't just in Gloucester, that's around the Commonwealth, that's around the country. There's so many news articles about that. And that's a combination of things. I think overall, there are two probably major parts of that. One is just level of anxiety and stress and strain related to, am I sick? Can I get sick? What will happen if I get sick? That sort of stuff. And that's, in families and staff. And because of that, folks haven't been on their best game. There's been different challenging behaviors, from students, understandably, that sort of thing. One interesting piece is our kindergarten class or kindergartners, because they hadn't really done sort of preschool and, for the past couple of years, really have had challenge just sort of socialization and becoming, and being in school. So we see it across the board. So that's one piece is just, anxiety and stress and strain impacting behavior. The other piece we've really experienced is just overall exhaustion, the physical and mental energy to be at work every day, school every day, through 2 years of a pandemic has just, I think, knocked people off their game. And none of us, I think, have been at our best. And that's always difficult because we try to be always. But so it's been a really hard year. And what I've asked just today, families and also staff is to take some time before the end of this year to thank somebody, show appreciation or gratitude for a job well done, effort made, something you appreciated. Because we all need that, and that small thanks, no matter what it is, really goes a long way. And so I hope I'm doing that. I want to continue to do that, but I hope our families and our staff can reach out to each other to just express their appreciation for just making it through, honestly.
Well said. So, Ben, is there an update on COVID numbers in the schools? And we know there sort of been a slight uptick throughout the city overall, but what have the schools been dealing with?
Yeah, so we typically reflect what's happening in the community, and something we've looked closely at for literally almost a year and a half now are always the wastewater numbers, because they really give us a good indication. And those have been sort of incomplete over the last few weeks. So we've been really relying on the numbers we have in the schools, and things are much better than they were 2 weeks ago and even last week. We have right now 21 active cases across all the schools. That's staff and students. That's quite low. It would have been high a year ago, but it's actually at this point considered quite low. Whereas a few weeks ago, we had more than 35 cases in O'Malley alone. And so things are much, I think we had a total of 74 cases 3 weeks ago in our schools. Now we're down to 21. So it looks like things are sorting out, and things do go up and down, but right now we feel pretty good about things. And there's a level of, I think, confidence and just, in the schools right now about we're going in the right direction. And also we know that things change, left and right. And so I think one of the hardest things for us is we don't know what to expect next year at all. Just have no idea, honestly. And that's tough.
Right. So we, as you well know, we're supposed to do a Cape Ann Today show at O'Malley, and we had to scramble and have a bunch of emails, and we had to cancel it because of those COVID numbers. So, and that just was a window for us into your world. Like every day is how much is COVID affecting our system, what, and the across the whole system, what you're having to deal with. So do you feel like this is something that's just going to become normalized, dealing with COVID and managing COVID in the schools?
As I try to remind people, I am not a health expert in any way,
Yes,
shape,
right.
or form. So I'm still not. But I think we're seeing some normalization right now over the past couple months, really. Okay, honestly, meaning, when numbers go up, people still feel okay and are believe it's going to be okay. There isn't the level of anxiety and, I would say, panic that we felt earlier on. And I mean just our schools, right? So I think there is a fair bit of living with it now. We don't know what that's going to bring. I think, January for us in the schools was very, very difficult in terms of, dealing with Omicron.
Right.
Staff, that was students, that was families. If we get to those levels again, I think there'll be a similar amount of concern. But right now, like I said, a year ago, 21 cases in our schools would have been a pretty high level of concern. The fact that it isn't now at all, really, not to say that individuals aren't concerned and paying close attention. I'm not making blanket statements here, but generally 21 cases isn't alarming to us. And I think that's already an indicator that we're sort of, living with it, amidst us.
Mhm.
So Ben, and as we sort of face the end of the school year now, we have graduation is coming up, but also lots of end of year programs and events that you haven't been able to do. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think this is, typically is a really busy, challenging time of year because we're trying to get a lot of things done here at the end, but also a time of smiles and celebrations and families coming together and staff and students coming together. And I mentioned to you before how just a couple of weeks ago at Shayla Lou was a great event. It was our Gloucester High School jazz band performing, but even, and in addition to that, in a surprise move, they had the O'Malley Jazz Band open for them. So that was a spectacular night there in those concerts. But we're having, upcoming, we'll have an academic scholarship night for the seniors. This weekend is prom. The following week is graduation. So those are big times. We've had the JROTC honors as well earlier this month, or actually in May. So that's at the high school level, and a lot of that focuses, on recognizing really good work by many students, but also really focused on the seniors. And then the other thing is, then you look at O'Malley, and they're having concerts, choral concert. They're having a big stage band concert this Sunday night with the Gloucester stage band, so adults as well. So a lot of musical performances. We're completing our last school doing their musical. So Plum Cove doing Annie Jr. This week. And then also O'Malley going on, field trips like boat trips, that sort of thing, class picnics, a lot of class picnics as well. So just a lot of moments where folks are looking back and reflecting on the year, but then also looking forward to next year. So we have our, fifth graders moving to O'Malley. So we'll be at O'Malley and learning about that. We have our eighth graders moving to JHS, so looking back, but also looking forward to big things too. So and I think all of that is really gives us a chance to sort of recognize and celebrate on many levels. And that's really exciting, especially my favorite moments are those times where you see, families, staff, and students all smiling, laughing together in person. And that's been wonderful this spring, really, really wonderful.
Mhm. Well, we really missed out by not being at O'Malley to hear the O'Malley Jazz Band, because they were going to be part of our show. So hopefully next September we can do that.
Yeah, I hope we do. You guys will be really impressed by them and really impressed on the things that are going on in O'Malley.
Yeah. Well, Kory's an alum. We have to mention that.
I loved O'Malley. I keep saying over and over. I loved it more than the high school, but that was me. But
one thing about O'Malley that I do want to just highlight for you guys is, and I've been talking about this through the budget process, and we'll continue to talk about it, but really, our elementary schools have been doing so well academically and instruction with their curriculum, done a really good job for the last 6, 7, 8 years on just, sort of rethinking and improving their practice. And now we're really going to be focusing on that at O'Malley as well. Really, we've already started a review of the curriculum for English language arts. We're beginning one shortly on math as well. And then also looking at more and more ways we can include student leadership and voice into the school, into day-to-day workings of the school. So, I just think it's nice to be able to turn our attention really to supporting O'Malley and then working with them on their next steps. So yeah, so just that's something to sort of look that we're all looking to and we'll be looking forward in the years to come. Very excited about that.
And that will be the subject of our September show too. So we'll be asking you all those questions all over again. So how about this summer though? Ben, what's going on in the schools this summer? What sort of programs do you have? Are you, I know last summer you guys were doing a lot with catching up on learning. You just have those programs happening. What's happening?
Yeah, so we're essentially continue those programs. Every year we always have an extended school year program for our students with disabilities. That was more robust last year in terms of number of students, that sort of thing. Typically, and then we also have summer programs in math and literacy for kids who need that support. Last year, we also combined some work with the YMCA, and we'll do some of that this year as well. And then we also had sort of a robotics engineering camp as well. That's all elementary focus, what I just described. All of that last year, that was at Beeman and West Parish. It'll be all at West Parish this year. And then similar to at the high school and middle school, O'Malley runs a O'Malley Academy summer programs, and that's just a wide range of programming from art and music and theater, or, drama, but also academic support and that sort of thing. So kids can sign up for a whole variety of that. And then high school, similar in terms of, and high school is really focused more on credit recovery and supporting students to make who need to either prepare for classes to do well or make up classes that they either missed or didn't do well in. But all of that to say is that yes, we do need to continue to focus on supporting kids, as we've worked through the pandemic. This year, a little more normalized than last year. Last year, because of the previous spring, and then last year being a sort of in school for the most part, but also some hybrid. This year it's catching up to some degree for students, but not as significantly as last year. Yeah, definitely. But lots of programs in the summertime. The DPW does a fantastic job of maintaining, cleaning, and doing summer cleans. But in some places this year, it's actually harder for them to do because we have so many programs going on. So we make it a little more difficult for them, unfortunately, but that's because we're serving the students.
Right.
Well, I have to say that when I was a kid, the dreaded summer school was like the worst thing that could happen, but you're making it sound really good. Programs, summer programs.
Are you interested, Heather? This might be a program for you.
Always interested, yes.
You do a little bit better job in marketing and a little bit better job at first targeting students who are really, need the academic support, but also trying to combine that with some other things as well. So it's just not academics.
Yeah. And lastly, Ben, how about an update on the Consolidated School over on Webster Street? I live within walking distance, and those guys are making amazing progress day to day. That is an impressive structure.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I actually was over there yesterday and saw it. So, but you're probably seeing it more regularly than I am, honestly. But what I do know is that we remain on time and on budget, which in these days of supply chain and difficult construction, industry is remarkable in itself. So we're really pleased that we're on time and on budget. You're seeing, just the beginnings of them, starting to enclose the building. So you see studs going up there on the exterior walls. Yeah. But yeah, that's the next work is enclosing the building. And once they enclose it, make it weatherproof, then they start beginning on all the interior pieces. But yeah, it's going fast. It's amazing to see such a impressive structure go up so quickly. And the other piece on that is we are the two schools and their staff are working more and more together now. So they've had a couple of different staff meetings where they're working through different areas of practice. They are having joint hiring committees as well. We just announced recently that Amy Pasquarello, who's the East Gloucester principal, will be taking over as assistant superintendent later in the fall. Yep. And so that will also begin a transition where the two administrations, two school leadership, administrators come together as well. So it's happening on many levels. It's happening on the construction level, happening on the teacher level, and also happening on the administrator and school leader level. So we are all systems go, definitely.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And when can we stop calling it the Consolidated School?
Right. So as you may know, we have the nominations, the school naming process up and running. We have a fantastic group of student leaders who are really running that process with support from staff and principals. They're actually meeting today, I believe, with both folks from the Veteran Services and also from an alumni group to get their input on what's important to them around a naming. And then they'll continue their work to get it down to about 10 semifinalists. And then we'll come back to the public for input on those 10 semifinalists. And then in the beginning of the fall, the school committee will we'll get finalist names, and then the school committee makes a final decision. So I would expect that sometime sort of mid-fall, we'll have the new name for the school.
Nice.
That's a weedy process. I mean, that's a long process.
It is, and partly it's because summer's interrupting it. Honestly, we can't make too
Right.
much progress during the summertime. I don't believe. Otherwise, it'd be about 6-7 months. The important part to us is one, that the students are playing a real leadership role in it. I mean, they're gonna know that they essentially led the naming process for that school for as long as it's open, for the next 50 plus years. They're learning a lot about leadership and working with others during that process. And the other piece is that it's been very inclusive. So we had over 70 nominations for the name, and those are the nominations that the student team is working through. So inclusive and student focused, and that's, I think, what's most important.
Yeah, nicely put. Well, Ben, we thank you for your time and appreciate the efforts of not only you, but Gloucester School's faculty and students. I mean, tip of the cap. We know it hasn't been easy for everybody the last few years, this year in particular. So if we don't talk to you, have a great summer. But we would love to actually check in with you at some point this summer as we prepare for the next school year.
Yeah, happy to. Always, you guys are so great and generous with your time, and we'll set a date. And because I really would love to give you an update in the summertime, perhaps, about our plan for ongoing improvement, which is the 3-year plan, which will really guide our work in the upcoming years. So maybe we can do that.
Sounds great. All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.